United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we have a replacement for Dave today. Dave is on vacation.
Tom
Is it
Dyer,
Tom?
yes.
Thank you. I would like to make. Yeah, right. We have a few announcements to make too. We did have a couple of executive sessions held on June 4th for personnel, June 9th for personnel, and June 10th for personnel and litigation. A couple of other things too. Just wanted to make mention that our next newsletter is going to be coming out next week. So if anybody is not already signed up for that and wants to get signed up, please let someone here at the township know. We have a group of our residents are going to be manning a table at the carnival at the horse show from July 9th to the 13th. So, and we're still looking for people who want to do that. It's just going to be all things West Vincent. Just talking about our different committees and our different services and restaurants and shops in the area. So if anyone would like to do that, and please let us know. We have a sign-up sheet for that, and that should also be in the newsletter too. And one other thing is there's a blood drive that's going to be on July 9th. And I believe that's posted as well. And that'll be right here. We did get a really nice thank you from Friendship Pickering for supporting them with the Iron Tour. So that's kind of it for business. And we're going to move on to approval of the workshop minutes of May 6th, 2024, and the Board of Supervisor meeting minutes of May 20th. I think we have to do those separately though. All right, yes, let's do the workshop minutes first. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I would like to make a couple of comments on that one. I would like to approve it with a couple of changes. The first one had to do with Chris Taylor's statement. I think it was verbatim, but out of context. And I would like to, I did talk to him about it as well, and would like to change it to say, the reason for this ban is about educating people about being more aware of the plastic they use and start thinking about reducing it. That was one change I had. And also under Kathy Cook's statements, I would like us to record something that she said too, which was that she discussed a skip the straw campaign and stated that 26 municipalities and 12 states have enacted bans. And I think that that would be pertinent to put into the minutes too, as well as there was an error in Kip Archinal's statement where it said that she voted against the ban due to plastic cups being in the ordinance, and it actually was, she voted against it because they were not in the ordinance. She voted against it because they were omitted from the ordinance. So I just wanted to add that word. And with those three changes, I would like to
Okay,
vote on approving.
so I'll rescind my past motion and make a motion to accept the minutes as your changes.
I was second accepting them with your change.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we move on to the Board of Supervisor meeting minutes of May 20th, which, by the way, I have no objections to.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 20th.
And I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I approve. Oops. And we did have another announcement here that I missed as well. There's a traffic safety committee edition, which is going to be on our July 1st workshop agenda. And that'll be for the discussion of committee's proposal regarding trees and sight lines. That is also not to be forgotten, that that's also going to be a discussion about our events ordinance that's being proposed. So those two things will both be on that July 1st workshop date. And then if we could please have Sergeant Russell, I think he's here, right? Go on out and give us a report. Thank you.
This is the May 2024 monthly report for West Vincent Township Police Department. For training, we have Humane Society Police Officer Training and Continuing Education, Field Training Officer, and Crisis Intervention Team Training. The summary totals are the number of calls for service, 123, number of crimes investigated, 1, number of arrests, 0, number of traffic stops, 32, and number of accidents investigated, 10.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Keep safe out there.
Actually, there is one more thing that I meant to mention earlier. At our last board meeting, Julie Brindell had asked some questions about the roads, and we did get an answer from Mike Hoga. So one question was, where in the township do we have double seal coat? And the answer was everywhere. It is basically a double tar chip, and you can find it on Hilltop, Shady, Horseshoe Trail, etc. 2 is the township repaving Schoolhouse Lane. And the answer was not until the drainage has been remediated. In order to do the drainage, we need resident cooperation to get this done. And I believe there's something in the works with that. Okay. And then your third question was, which side of Schoolhouse Lane are you double seal coating? And the answer was from Flowing Springs to St. Matthews. And Jackie, would you please give us the treasurer's report?
Okay, the total of all funds for the township for month of May, $12,607,127.98.
Is that the end of that report?
Well, I was asked before not to read it
Okay.
line by line.
No, I think it's fine. Everyone
I
has
just-
access to a copy of it.
I just was gonna make a comment, but I didn't want to interrupt her if
Okay,
she still had
go
more
ahead.
to say. I keep looking across to that screen up there. And I think it would be wonderful if this table could be projected there during the meeting so that Julia's not the only one who has it on a screen in front of her. And so could we please try to take advantage of the technologies that have been installed in this meeting space?
Isn't there an issue with you recording and us using it at the same time?
Well, I think you just can't see it, right? If you can't see it on the recording, or does it actually block the recording?
Stop the recording.
Oh, it stops it.
But
It's crazy.
I am sure.
It'd be nice to
there
do that
is-
with the police reports too.
I am sure there's a technical solution.
We'll have to look into
Okay.
finding a technical solution. Like needs to.
Do we have any
Right, well,
techies
thanks-
here who
Thanks
already
for that
understand?
suggestion, Sarah. I think we can look into, because we
Yeah.
do have, like you saying, we have other computers. Maybe there's something we can do.
It's not
Take it
a,
offline and. do
it's
it
not a
manually.
new suggestion. Is there anybody here who knows how to help our staff with that? Okay. We might
Thank
need to ask a different vendor. We keep going back to the same person and things don't work.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Jackie, would you like to do the expenditure summary?
Okay, expenditures for,
Should there be comments on that if there are any?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I got distracted.
Jackie, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, but on a number of these, and if you don't know off the top of your head, I can just email the questions to you or
with the summary funds?
not on the summary page, but in the the P and L
Okay.
previous year comparison pages. So page 2, workers' comp reimbursement, we got a reimbursement of $33,000. What was that for?
I believe, I'll have to go back and look, but we have an officer who's on, disability. And it's the heart and lung, and then we get reimbursed by Divot through that. And I think that comes through as workers' comp. So we get a couple $1,000s every pay period, reimburse us for what we're paying him for his disability.
Okay, and you put that to workers' comp?
Well, yeah, because it's part of, the heart and lung is part of workers' comp.
Is that a clause in the contract? It's not his heart and lung that we're worried about. It's a clause in the contract.
Well, heart and lung is work, he's basically being paid through workers' comp, but it's called heart and lung because it's a police version of workers' comp.
Right, so it's a jargon. It's not related to his infirmity. Thank you.
On, this probably doesn't need attention, just, well, an answer, just on page 4, I see that accounting services went down from 120,000 to just 20,000. So I guess good news is that it's just 21,000 this year. It's no need necessarily to comment on why it was so high last year, but that's a huge.
Well,
difference.
because we engaged the firm of Peter Bars and they were rather expensive for accounting.
Last year.
Not for very much of 2023. I would say part of it had to do with that we had a manager and a treasurer. And now we've got one person claiming to do both jobs, so we're not paying two people.
Okay.
Micah, you may be looking at a 15-month work versus a 5-month. Does that say 23?
Yeah.
So there's 15 months in there, it's not 5 months. It's not a credible comparison.
So the header at the top is wrong. It says January 23 through May. Okay, no, that is right. Okay, so why are we doing that? Why are we doing a 15-month or actually a 17-month comparison?
Well, I thought you, okay, because I'm confused because you told me you wanted a previous year comparison.
January to May
Okay, so,
of last year versus January to May.
okay, all right. Let's see.
Sorry if maybe I.
You're
maybe I-
gonna send the
Correct.
past January, bring it all the way in.
Well, that may answer, thank you, John. That may answer some of these questions, but police salary and wages are down. Sorry, are up $263,000. Any idea? Did we hire extra police or did we give them huge?
We did not,
That's like a
We're actually down.
20% increase.
well, if it's 15 months, I can explain. I'll have to go back and look, Jamie, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
From that one.
And workers' comp for police. The previous period was at 49,000. This year it's 0. Maybe it's just divvied out to the wrong department.
Yeah,
Yes.
we broke out the divot, we break it up. We'll have to go back and look, when we get the bill from divot, they usually break it out. It may have just given us one lump sum for workers' comp. We'll have to go back and
That's-
get them to separate that out.
Okay.
One lump sum added up to 0.
No, it's recorded somewhere elsewhere, not under police. Correct?
Yeah, and Kathy says they don't break that out, so.
So
we'll
we
see
have
what
to
we
do
can
that. Mhm.
And then it's hard to tell because the numbers are so far to the right of the headers or the descriptions on the left. But is it the pension went from, I'm sorry, no, the health benefits went up 88,000.
Yes, they did.
They just did?
They just did. They went up 26% overall,
Wow. Is that just for police? Or is that for everybody?
everybody.
Yeah, part of why this is confusing is because the two columns, January 22 through May 23, and then January 23, that means that there's some numbers are in both.
Okay, so I'll reprint it and send it to you tomorrow.
Okay,
Let's. Please don't send it just to Jamie, post it for everyone, because I saw the same confusion. Trying the time ranges at the top of most reports, there are 3 or 4 different ones. And it makes it really hard to track what you're looking
Yeah,
at.
we were talking about that this morning.
Next page, looks like it's page
I'm not trying
6.
to Keep it from you, Jay.
No, that's okay. No, I should have said the same thing. Inspector wages, code enforcement, under code enforcement, inspector wages went from 34,000 to 111,000. It's probably just a miss.
That's gotta be a mistake. I'll have to look at that. That's arrow. It's not,
It's arrow, right?
it's not that much. Okay, we'll have to look into that.
And maybe it's in on the next page, highway maintenance went down 78,000. So maybe that's where it was misposted.
So I have code enforcement on page 7 as 80 grand.
Page 7, which set up.
Page 6, the code enforcement is up 77,000, and on page 7, the highway maintenance is down 78,000. So it's probably that one was posted incorrectly to the other. Maybe it was last year and you can't correct it at this point.
Okay,
Maybe the numbers are right now and they were wrong last year.
sure, okay.
And I did all that just since I sat down for the meeting, so that's as far as I got. So no further questions.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
will
Thank you.
get that
It's
info
fine.
to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it, just hammers home how great it would be if we can get things a little earlier than the Friday before the meeting, so we could catch those
Can't
things.
Do the reports until the checks are cut.
Mhm.
And you were with Kathy on Monday. For the majority of the morning. She didn't get the checks finished.
I
until
spent a half an
Thursday.
hour with her, and then
Okay,
the
good.
checks were done on
The checks
Wednesday.
weren't done. until
Okay, but we can
Thursday,
talk about
so
that. Thank you.
know, can't do the financials till the
John,
checks
did
are
you have a comment?
John Eldridge, 1634 Hilltop Road. I sort of like to give a supplement to the treasurer's report. Our income for 5 months is $1.2 million, which is fairly significant. The budget for the year is 200-some thousand, so we're way over that. Income for the month was 380,000, which is significant. Our cash balance went up by 480,000. So it seems a little disconnect there. And then what's the status of the 22 audit?
It's being worked on.
Is it next month, 2 months, 3 months?
John, I can't give you an answer. It's in the auditor's hands.
Okay, because it's holding up a lot of our work here. Okay.
Thanks for asking.
Thank
John.
you. Are there any more comments or questions? Would you like to do the expenditures, please?
Okay, general fund bills total $340,000, $438.20. Open space bills, $126.76. Capital Road, $310,849,000.96. And Capital Project Reserve, 6,200. And the rebill file was $1.77 for a total of $657,616.69.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments, John?
Entertain motions.
You get to go first. You want to ask questions before we do a motion? No?
6-1.
Okay.
Hi, John.
John Eldridge, 1634 Hilltop Road. I just picked up the bills list here and glanced through it. I noticed in police health insurance, there's an invoice 26996 for 23,031. And then about 8 lines down, the same 26996 invoice for police health insurance, again for 23,031. Is there any chance that that's a duplicate invoice? And several of these are duplicates?
There's the monthly amount is usually the same.
Wanna-
Yeah.
Let's see it.
It's John.
June 12th. They're 2 different months, John.
There's
The
two
amounts are the
different-
same.
Same
One's in
invoice
May,
number,
one's in-
2 different months?
One was in May and one was in June. We pay it every month. It's usually the same unless there's a
And
change in
what he's
personnel.
asking if the invoice number would still be the same.
So is this?
Probably not. It might have been that, you know,
It was input incorrectly.
when they cut the checks, they forgot to change them.
So this is at the top of this page. Are we looking at something that says 1 May through June 13th?
No, one payment was made on May eighth for the healthcare and one was made on June twelfth.
I'm
The same
looking at a
amount.
report in my booklet here. And if we have a 45-day period, that could be why the same bill amount comes up twice. It's two different monthly bills. Is there a reason we make a range big enough to cause us that confusion?
Yes, because we pay bills all the way up into the Monday before the meeting. Because otherwise they get too far backed up and then we start paying late fees.
All right, but we paid bills up to the May meeting.
Right.
So why would it be on here again?
Because if we waited to cut it to next month, it would be past the next 30 days.
I hate to say this, but if we went to the idea of having a meeting every 2 weeks, would that alleviate that
Some
problem?
of it, but not all of it. I mean, some of the bills just trickle. They don't always come in on time. They don't always clear on time. There's a lot of variables.
George, did you have a comment?
Yeah, not specifically on any bill or expenditure, but I noticed in the expenditure list now, the memo field. It seems to be sort of fleshed out with some background on what the bill is for, but unfortunately, the column is truncated. And I think that's one of the more important fields. And we've gone through this before. I wish there was a way we could be able to read what it says.
Well, you can, I made it as big as I could on the page. I can make that column wider by reducing.
Like split per account, who cares?
Yeah, I could do that.
What's CIR?
That means whether it's cleared or not.
We don't care. So get rid of that. I think the amount and the balance, right now, it looks like you got room for like a 7-figure or 8-figure amount. I doubt we're gonna ever need that. Can you shrink those down maybe?
Sure.
I don't know, wherever it makes sense. I mean, I think you're putting important information in there, but we can't see it. All right, thank you.
So, does someone want to make a motion to approve the expenditure list for all township funds in the amount of $657,660.69?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay. Jackie, would you mind giving us the manager's report?
Okay,
Putting you on the hot seat.
that's okay. We met with Mr. and Mrs. List and we finally got, the easement and the plans correct and they've signed off on the easement. So, the road crew plans to begin or continue to work on Janie Lane starting Monday morning, now that the lease has been signed. The cell tower, as you can see, was installed. We did receive our first lease payment of $1,850. The other carriers are in the process of signing leases, and once they sign the lease with the cell tower, then we'll get additional monies for those leases. The 2022 audit is in the hands of our auditor. I'm working with him daily and hopefully, we'll get this done sooner rather than later, but I can't give you a time limit. He's hoping to have it done by the end of July, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes.
I just want to mention, since you brought up the cell tower, everyone keeps asking who the carriers are. And the one that we have right now that just gave us a payment is Verizon. So they're going to be the first one up there. T-Mobile will be directly after them. They're just completing that negotiation. And AT&T is expected to follow, but could be, about 12 to 18 months before they settle that. Fortunately.
Thank you.
I received a phone call from Jim and Libby Siebert, who live on Beaver Hill Road, regarding stormwater issues they've been having since 2016. And I just became aware of this late last week when Mike Hoga informed me that they had put a curb up on the road itself. on a township road, which is a big problem. Anyway, Mike and I went out and we met with the Seabirds to figure out how we can resolve this problem. And next year, part of our road program was going to be Beaver Hill. So Mike is suggesting that we use our contractor that we've already gone out to bid for to put in a 500-foot pipe that would run from the Seabirds property down to the creek, alleviating their water issues and Dr. Montes, who lives below them, his water issues as well. And someone across the street on the other side apparently filled a ditch in with a bunch of rocks, so it'll alleviate that as well. So while this wasn't part of this year's road budget, Mike is suggesting that for $45,000, we could put this 500 feet of drainage pipe in, let the road settle so that next year we can go and pave it like we had planned. So I'm asking the board to consider that and to make a motion to approve the $45,000 expenditure. if you
What-
so choose.
And this is the same $45,000. It's not an additional $45,000. It's just doing it now versus doing it later, correct?
Well,
It might even be cheaper because it's gonna go
right,
up.
but it's coming out of this year's budget instead of next year's budget. But it would have come out of next, you're moving it up by about
Right,
10 months.
But we're not
But-
adding an extra expense. We're
No,
just doing
no,
it at
this
a
was
different
gonna be- We're
time.
just doing it sooner
And
rather than
were
later.
you able to look into if you could use the ARPA funds for that?
I have some calls in. I have not gotten a response yet. I think it has something to do with, how you have to go out to bid for it. What we do as a township is we go out by a linear foot bid so that Mike can get work done in the township. So there might be a requirement there and I'm waiting to get feedback on that.
Are there any questions from the board on this?
No.
Comments, Sarah?
We had our stormwater engineers look at this. 500 feet sounds very long to me.
Well, it's
And
whole hill.
so will it have additional inlets or will it only have the one at Libby's?
It's gonna go down to the creek.
I heard you say that, so I'm asking, is it one long
It's one long
500
pipe.
foot? Does it have more than one inlet at the top?
No,
I would like to have an engineering assessment of that solution before.
that's fine. I believe Mike did discuss this with Norm.
Is there an urgency to do it today?
Tab 17.
There's not an urgency. The problem is that this has been going on for a very long time and the seabirds are very frustrated. There's an issue with stormwater coming from another property that we can't do anything about at this point. So, they have a historic property and, they feel like it's being damaged by all of this water. And would like the board to consider, I mean, you don't have to make a decision right now, but it seems like if we're gonna do it next year anyway, let's make the effort now.
Yeah, I'm just questioning that
Yeah.
because I'm thinking I would like to know, if we can use the ARPA funds, where the funds are coming from, and if we could answer the questions,
Okay,
the engineering questions.
they
And
would
that,
come from the road
For
fund,
you.
we couldn't use the ARPA fund.
right,
And they would come from the road fund next year, either way,
right.
because that was gonna be our road program for next year. So it would come out of the road fund. Again, I have feelers out into ARPA to find out what the requirements are to see if we can use the ARPA funds.
Okay, why don't we take some questions from the audience?
From Barry,
From Barry.
because here I am.
First.
So you mentioned that somebody filled in a ditch with rocks, and how much of that is an impact on this road issue?
Well, it's on the other side of the road, so it's a minimal impact, but it does impact.
Are the rocks gonna be taken out or,
Yes,
okay, good, because I mean, that's a major problem. I mean, people like to do that. We had issues with that over on Bartlett one time with somebody who was an attorney that decided they owned upright to the road and did all sorts of things and put rocks out there and all that. People just can't do that.
no, they
You gotta have a place for things to drain, you know?
And that's, part of the issue. One homeowner has put a whole bunch of rocks along the roadside there. to try to Keep the water on the surface of the road as opposed to going into the creek. So this will alleviate a lot of the village. And we'll get rid of all of the debris and rocks and curbing that's illegally on the surface.
And wasn't there a swale that was
Right.
removed?
That's the
That's
driveway that we can't do
okay.
anything about.
Yeah, you know, ditching roads is something that doesn't get done near often enough, and that's why our roads fall apart. Most important thing you do is ditch roads. If the road crew's out there ditching roads, it makes it a lot better for water runoff. You know, it gets out, it gets into the ditch, it runs where it's supposed to. When it doesn't do that, that's a problem.
This particular particular property is a problem because the utilities are only 6 inches under the ground.
Oh, nice.
And the pipeline runs in the opposite direction, so we can't go that way.
Mm-hmm.
So they tried to dig a ditch, but you can only go down a couple of inches, so that wasn't really helpful.
No wonder these pipes don't work. They're all full of wire.
So this seems to be the best solution.
And the last thing is this 500-foot pipe, that is a long way with only having one drain in it or one, place to pick it up. I think that's a long way.
Coming from one source, and
Mhm.
it will go into the pipe, and the pipe will go down halfway and then cross over the street and then go down into the creek.
Yeah, it's just the cleanup. That's the problem. And of course, then you have your issue with point discharge. So you gotta be careful with direct point discharge to creeks. It becomes an issue too. So I would exercise caution, but obviously you're dealing with professionals on that. But okay, I was just wondering. Thank you.
Barry, what about those rocks up there?
Don't hit them. They'll do damage to your car.
Does anyone else have any comments on this issue? I think we
So
wanted,
we're
I think
tabling
we
this. till
wanted
we
to
get-
try and do this next month. We'll put it on the agenda and we'll get those questions answered.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I don't think, if it's not holding anything up, I think that's a good way to go. Okay, and we do want to acknowledge the receipt of zoning hearing board application for DeBronski, 48 Buttonwood Lane. Announce that. Anyone has any
Thank you.
questions? And we're also accepting the resignation, very sadly, accepting the resignation of Jim Berge from the Open Space Review Board. And he's been a wonderful asset to our township, and we're sorry to lose him, but.
We don't
thank you for your
accept it?
service.
Can we keep them?
No, I know we were gonna do that as a motion, and we thought, what would happen if we said no? He wouldn't be able to leave, sell his house.
Will be sorely missed.
Yeah, he will. be
As Donna
sorely
will
missed.
do.
Absolutely. Thank you. We need to make a motion to approve payment number 6 in the amount of $126,259.88
I'll make
to
that,
J and K.
I'll make that motion for the Janie Lane Drainage Project. We must be getting down near the bottom of that one.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Can we have a motion to approve resolution number 10-2024, destruction of records?
Public records. I'll make that motion, but it sounds terrible.
It's wonderful, actually.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, I just want to say thank you to admin for starting this initiative. We're going to try and clear out the enormous backlog of paperwork that we have a little bit at a time. So
In the attic.
yes, yeah, we're afraid the attic's going to come down. So, but that's 20 boxes that they're trying to get, what, 10 a week?
I'm trying to do 10
Yeah,
a week.
that's
yes.
great. So chip away at it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Do we have any questions there, Barry?
That on what the records are.
There, it is listed. Trying to think, I think we have. it
There's
in
a
our packet
resolution,
somewhere
there's a
here.
resolution in the packet that outlines everything that's being destroyed.
Oh, so
We
we
can share that with
approve the,
you.
Is required by.
did we just approve the resolution by mistake? Should we talk about it a little more?
Well, what do we need to
Not
talk
what do you
about?
need
We
to
can
talk
read
about?
it if you like.
Let's share it.
Sure,
share
let's
with
read
us.
it. No worries.
It's also on the website, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'll tell you what they are. And they're all 7 years past. One box name is paid bills, R to Z 2012, and they're vendor bills from 2012. Another box is paid bills H to Q, again, vendor bills from 2012. Another box, statement and accounts, 2012, bank statements and reconciliations from 2012. The next box is called statements and accounts, 2011. Bank statements and or reconciliations from 2011. Banking, 2011 is the next box, and that's deposits to bank accounts. And the last one is A to L paid bills, 2011, vendor bills from 2011. And actually, I'm not sure what this other thing is. I guess it's just 2012 yearly bid and tax documents from 2012.
Other tax documents
Okay,
and bid documents from 2012.
there you go. All right, so that's what's being disposed of. And I think there's a process with that, and we have to go
There
get a
is.
documentation on it.
We have to get it, shredded and we have to get a certificate saying that it's shredded properly. All the records that are currently on this list are, approved according to the open space records. Kathy's our open space records officer. She has been overseeing, what's going on with these boxes and making recommendations.
Do we need to make a more formal approval of resolution 10-2024?
You do not, it's just a simple shredding.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you because my solicitor was saying yes.
How would you like us to handle?
I
it,
would do the
Tom?
motion to call it the resolution specifically rather than the general, so state to approve, a motion to approve resolution number 10-2020,
And that's what we said.
Right, so that,
confirming.
just making
Okay.
sure that's what we're doing.
All right. I think we're good, and I think we all approved that, correct? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay,
It's Tom's happy.
yes, Tom's happy, Jackie's happy, we're all good. And then we also we're talking about, we've been talking about mold remediation around here for a while, and we did get a report, which really wasn't as bad as I thought, but we do want to keep on top of that and keep this a healthy, safe environment. So can I have a motion to approve mold remediation?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
I think there should be some discussion,
Okay,
like we should tell them how much it's gonna cost,
sure. Why is that not in here?
because
They broke it
I
out.
think it's 9,500 or
It's
so.
95, it's close to 9,500 total for everything.
Yeah, it should have been in the motion.
or
Let's call it 9,600 and call it a day.
How about not to exceed 90?
Yeah.
question.
Do you need us to repeat that?
Yeah.
Are you approving? It's 9,600, I have.
Okay, and it is
There's
numerous
a complete report.
locations in the farmhouse, the addition, and public works department.
Yeah, I think in the chief's office.
That's.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to get so specific, and the hall outside of Jackie's office. if you need
Okay.
details. But
There's 4
anyway, thanks, I'm just trying to be transparent.
Okay.
Okay,
Do we need to read
Did
that
we-
again with the amount in it, Tom?
Yes,
Okey
please.
dokey.
Not to exceed.
Someone like to read that motion again?
yeah, I'll find it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve mold remediation for the township building in the amount of not to exceed $9,600.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And Bernie, would you mind just mentioning to everyone about where we are with the water too? Because I just want to bring it up because I think people have noticed in the bathroom that we have, that we have some E. coli
Oh, okay.
concerns. So you want to bring up what's going on with that, and why that's not here?
Yes, we were lacking continuity in having the yearly changeover of the UV lamp that is part of our water system. Like my house, this area here has a lot of E. coli in the water system. So if you don't have the water system with the UV, you might want to have your water checked. And if you have it, then get a UV system. In any event, so we now are on track to regularly change there's 2 different systems, one in the township building and one in the utility shed. So the utility shed, Mike Hogan is going to handle now, and take care of. The one that's here, we've had difficulty in finding a UV lamp for it. So there is a company that had worked on the system before, and they're going to come in, I believe it's $480, was it, Jackie?
Yeah.
And put the new lamp system in that we need and give it an overhaul. And once again, and check for any E. coli after the system's flushed out. So hopefully within the next month, we'll be taking care of that.
Any
Thank you, Brian.
questions?
I think so.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and then we also want to approve an update to the fee schedule for the tenths. Up to 4 tenths will be $200, 5 to 10 tenths will be $400, and over 10 tenths will be negotiable. Currently, I believe the fee schedule is $200 per tent which added up pretty quickly. And it's really not a lot more effort on the inspector's part, so we're trying to make that more fair. Do we have a motion for that?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the updated fee schedule for tents, as stated earlier. There.
I'll second.
Make a comment first?
Hi, Julia Randall. Just a quick question. So this is only tents that are over 400 square feet, correct? Because that's what it says in the current ordinance, but that's not on here.
That the over 400 square feet is required to be permanent.
Okay, so it's only for those tents that are over 400 square feet.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, you can
just
have a
wanted to
little
confirm
pop-up
that.
in your backyard.
It's for commercial.
Well,
We have other
do we
questions?
need to? But it's commercial, she said it's commercial, so do we need to put that in someplace, or is that just a
I
given?
think that's
we're
already in
talking?
our fee schedule
It's
that
in the
way.
fee schedule, yeah.
Okay, good.
So when we set the fees, and then maybe this is in general, but do we set them? I mean, do we try and make an assessment what it costs the township to
We
actually do
We
that?
actually sat down with Matt and Jason and Tracy to come up with what their inspection costs are, because we want to be solvent, we don't want to lose money. So
Right.
we're trying to break even, but in the past, I've done fee assessments for permitting, not in this particular township, but I'm hoping to get them done this fall. Last year got away from us quickly. So what I'll do is I'll do fee assessments, which will break down everybody's cost, what it costs the township, and that way you can see that, I know people think we're making lots of money on permits, we're really not. We're barely breaking even.
Well, I'm just wondering, I like 5 tenths, does it take, do you think it takes an hour of administrative time? Half hour?
George, it depends on how big the tents are, how big the space is.
I don't think that size matters for the permitting. For the inspection, yes, but that's a flat fee for a visit for
Right.
Matt.
No, it's not a flat, it depends how long he's there, he gets paid by the hour.
Okay, but right now, what we just approved, the inspection's $200 regardless of how many tenths. Well, I guess over 10 is something else, but so that I'm under the impression that that is something he can knock out in less than an hour. I saw him do an inspection in 15 minutes for 7 tenths, so.
You know what, I can't tell you how quickly or he can do an inspection, it depends on what's.
But I'm not arguing about his fee. I mean, he's paid hourly, I assume, or we pay Arrow for his time, so that's an easy one to figure out, how long it takes him. You mark it up by some overhead amount, and that's what you charge. But for the permits, those are handled here, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
That's
so-
something that Dave also, I was talking to Dave about this very subject. And he was saying that, that there's a lot that goes into that cost. You could actually say that they're overhead and, there's a
Yes.
lot more than just how long he was there on the job or how long it took them to do it. So it is not an easy answer.
Whole new world, George. We've never talked about overhead here before, have we?
Well, I mean, this is a standard business
Yeah.
practice. You find out what your cost of your employees and you mark it up, but this seems kind of arbitrary right now,
I'm curious
the
about
pricing.
why we can't specify a per tent over 10.
Well,
Because it could be 50 tenths.
yeah, I don't
think
want to
that's
get
why.
into the weeds on that because that's not a common case and
Yeah.
maybe it is negotiable, but I think we should figure out how much it costs our people here, how much time they spend. If it takes 15 minutes, it seems like,
And that's what a fee assessment will do. I have to get to that, George, haven't gotten there yet.
Well, and I think we are trying to move in that direction. Before it was $200 for each. And in fact, just to be transparent with the dog show, they had 7 tenths. And
Actually,
going by that, it was going to be, $1,600 when you add the other.
yeah, they added an extra one.
So we ended up saying, that's just not right. And we're going to change it on Monday. So let's charge them
Okay.
$600.
Okay,
That's, we're
well,
trying to move in the direction.
So we did raise this at the beginning of the year, but
Correct.
we kind of did it.
We didn't think about
What
what
was it?
happens when there's 3 tenths, right?
No, I know, but it seems like we raised it from $50 a unit to 200 a unit, but it seems in both cases, we didn't do a fee assessment. Somebody just decided to throw a dart at a board and pick a number or something.
Well, I don't think that's
Okay.
true. I mean, Matt, we sat down and Matt is the guy who does the inspections and he came up with his costs.
Yeah, I'm not,
We relied on that, but in the future, I will do fee assessments so that we have a better understanding of the costs.
Yes, I understand, but Matt's cost is the inspection. The permitting is done here. That's why I don't know how he would have had any idea what.
Because he had input on our entire fee schedule, including the permits, because the permits include a lot more than just, there's a lot of data on the permit that he needs to get, so. It's more than just filling out a piece of paper and handing in a check.
So I think George might be trying to make a distinction. Is there one person who handles the permitting and somebody else the inspection?
I believe that is the case
And so if
because,
somebody's handling the permitting, they would fill
Permits were
in
prepared.
all of those blanks. And then the inspector would look at that before he went out. Is that?
yeah, I just,
Arrow prepared all the permits, the township did not. They put on all the data that they required. So they put in a lot of work into the permit forms themselves, which was. a
so
process.
Arrow does the permits also?
Arrow prepared most of those permits, yes.
Most,
The forms for the permits, yes, because they have special criteria that they need. So there was overhead in preparing all the forms for the permits. And then there's the process of, you come in, you give your paperwork to Jason, he's got to make sure everything's there, get it to Matt or Tracy or whoever's involved. So it's more than just filling out a piece of paper. So when we do our fee assessments, we'll lay all of that out so you can see.
okay, and that's not gonna happen until the end of the year, it sounds like, right?
Usually these are done in the fall before you go into your next year's fee schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, George. All in favor?
I,
Aye, motion carries. Okay, so this next one is to approve an update to the fee schedule for $20 garden fee assessment for equipment. Additional fees may be assessed as needed up to $50 per year per gardener. I just want to say something about this first before we do anything. Because it's not entirely popular decision with Parks and Rec. And, I think this is not another assessment of, oh, we didn't charge enough. This is, the equipment's in bad shape. We have a lot of new gardeners. Things have changed in the garden. It used to be small and we'd be like, oh, I'll buy a new this, I'll buy a new that. And we kind of worked cooperatively and it worked out. And now there's just so many people there and the stuff is in bad shape and not everyone's taking great care of it. So what we need to do, I think, is we need to, I think it's a deal, actually. We're asking everybody to put $20 in. The township will take care of it. We'll be very transparent about how that money is used. And then everyone realizes that they have some buy-in to the equipment and they need to take care of it. So, we just allowed for it to go up to 50. That has nothing to do with water. And water is something that we're going to continue to assess. We're looking at charging for that this year, but it's something we'll continue to assess. And we'll keep it in the forefront. And so I just want everyone to understand that. Does anyone have any, would you want to make a motion
I'll make a
first?
motion that we approve the update, the fee schedule for $20 for the garden for equipment.
We need hoses.
I will second that, and then I have comments.
Okay, would you like to go first before we put it up to the floor?
Sure. I'll go twice. I'll go before.
Okay,
and
you can,
after.
Sarah, go right ahead.
As you know, my first comment is on process. The Community Fellowship Community Garden has been placed under the Parks and Rec Commission. We do not have a Parks and Rec Commission recommendation on increasing this. At the first of the year, when we had a little uncertainty about the rates. We went back to Parks and Rec and they said, hold last year's prices this year. So we already talked to them in January about increasing the price and they recommended against it and we took their recommendation. So now we have this thing.
No, we didn't take their recommendation. We raised
We
it.
boosted a little.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what advisory is. They give us an idea and we like it or we don't.
Mhm.
So, but in this case, we are bypassing an advisory committee and I think that's poor form. I think it's not the process we should be undertaking. So that's my biggie there. But the second is,
Can I just respond to that for a second? I just want to say that I don't believe that we did completely bypass it. They discussed it, they just chose not to vote on it, but I'm pretty sure they weren't gonna, some people weren't gonna vote.
I think it's that email I got today.
I did,
Neither of us were at that meeting though, right?
no, but Bernie was.
And so were you able to get an opinion from Parks and Rec about the $20?
They didn't do a formal vote.
they were against it, so then there was no need for an opinion.
There's 7
Something-
members. Were they all against it?
No, there was only 4 there.
Oh, so were they all against it?
No, I didn't hear that, no. I heard one person.
Right, so.
They did not, they chose not to vote on it, Sarah, and we need hoses, it's, you know, late in the season and we're wasting water because we have holes in the hoses. So people are spraying themselves as well as their gardens.
It's refreshing. But here's the thing about that. Right now, you've received money from almost 50 of the 60 gardeners, right? And so you're
Couple holders.
holding those checks until everybody is given money. And so here we need hoses. We have 50 times $20 and we're not buying the hoses because we're trying to get people who haven't paid to pay up. I think we are doing a disservice to the gardeners with that attitude.
I think it has more to do with
Because-
process.
Because, oh, well, let's go back to
No,
process.
it has
Why
to do
are
with
we
the process
bypassing?
because we haven't approved that we can use that money. And that's what we're
Well,
doing right now.
Where are we on the
Not, we have
break?
to return that money
Is there
and then they don't get any.
how much money did we collect from all of the garden fees for the year? And where are we against that now? In the past, the gardeners' fees helped pay for things like hoses and stuff. So we have a balance sheet.
We don't.
So we're asking for more money and we don't know how much we.
This has nothing to do with our fee. This is a direct reimbursement to buy equipment to get things like lawnmowers and trimmers and hoses and such that are going to be used. And as a gardener, I appreciate that someone is doing the service for me for $20. I think that's a deal. If I had to go out and buy any of the stuff myself and maintain it myself, it's a lot more than $20. So I appreciate it. And I hope that it makes other people appreciate that they have some skin in the game and need to take care of their equipment.
And what part of that pertains to process you mentioned it to the skin?
Well, we're not cashing these checks. We probably shouldn't have asked for them until we came here and we're just a timing issue. So we're trying to move it forward.
So the process was, we decided we wanted to levy this additional fee and we were not going to bring it to the public. And now we've brought it to the public.
But we didn't
That's-
realize we had to do that. We thought it was just like before, it's like
This is
Judy saying,
transparency.
I'm gonna buy this and I'm gonna buy that. But no, we're realizing that we need to do it this way. We need to put it in the fee schedule.
And that's why.
And that's
we're
why we
talking
didn't
about
cash
it
any
now.
checks until we verified that what we were doing was legit.
Did you get one of those strong arm messages about how people who haven't paid are getting disservice to everybody else?
No, I
That's
didn't,
the-
because I paid.
But that's the township policy that is saying, we're not gonna do anything until you're all in.
Okay.
I've not broken any equipment in the garden in 6 or 7 years gardening.
Okay.
Take my own equipment, take a weed whacker, so I don't have to use, not me, but I take a weed whacking person, so we don't have to use the mowers. So what are we doing? You know, many of our issues evolve around educating the public. And I don't think anybody here is going to change their behavior for $20.
No,
That's,
but we're gonna get the equipment, and I do agree with you that as basic as it sounds, we need a little education on how to turn on the mower, how to put the hose away. They're little things, but you learn over the years how to handle things properly.
Right.
There's a lot of gardeners who've never done it before.
I taught somebody how to put gas in the mower
Yes.
last year.
Okay,
But what are
we're
we
just
doing?
getting in the weeds here, but
I know, but what are we doing about that? We're just asking. How about we say we use money out of the fees before we use this supplementary levy?
The fees,
that's what.
we'll pay for water.
Cost.
Do we have the water analysis yet?
It's already higher, I can tell you that, but
There
there's
were-
more,
there
but
were
there's more
gardeners,
people.
And it's
And
hot.
there's hoses that have holes in them and are leaking, and there's, these are issues. So if we
Okay.
can't take care of the equipment, how can we expect them to do any better on the water usage?
I'm done.
I feel strongly about it. I'm sorry, I see you do too, but I think maybe we just need to vote on this. Is there anyone from the public who has any
Yeah, I'm-
comments on this?
Here.
Or are we boring you to death?
Should be kicked back to the commission, the Parks and Rec, and have this
Uh,
discussion. It doesn't seem like it's ready to be voted on.
I
That's what I'm.
disagree, because I think we're talking about equipment that we're all using, and the majority of everyone is happy to do it. There's a couple of holdouts who are annoyed at the changes, and they're always going to be holdouts, so. We need to move forward. We're not waiting another month for them. They had an opportunity the other day to vote on this. Instead, there was just a complaint about it, so.
So this,
I wasn't there, but that's what I heard.
my pull down sign is right here, but it's not because I'm
I would
going
be
to
happy
be
to pay the
$20.
$20 for it.
No, it's the process. It's like Steve says, why don't don't we get advice from our advisory committees? I said it was done, never mind. We have a motion
Okay.
on the floor. Any other comments? Yes,
None?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all opposed,
All opposed?
one, thank you.
The motion carries 2-1. Thank you. I'm sorry. You thought that would have been an easy one, huh? Okay, and now we have a police personnel matter, which we need a motion on.
You're having so much fun. You gotta do
The-
that one.
Need to
Yeah, that someone needs to leave
Okay.
the name in there, right?
The name's in there.
I'd like to make a motion to terminate Christian Hamilton, an officer with the Westminster Township Police Department, effective immediately.
I second that. motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was there discussion?
Well, we can't discuss it.
Yeah. For my point here, it's obviously there's gonna be questions and curiosities with this, but it's a fluid confidential situation of what's going on. So the motion is all that can be discussed at this point with the board. They're proceeding as they are supposed to, and as they've been advised to, but that's all we can discuss at this time.
Good, that's done.
Okay, do we have any public comments?
Hey,
Why not? Take the space of honor. Oh, great, you're prepared.
You're so happy.
Now, those are just signed autograph pictures. All that.
I love that.
So I am Ed Bacon and I am representing Ludwig's Corner Horse Show Association.
Welcome.
Thank you. This will be our 81st year and we've spent years limping along and occasionally making improvements, and we are now looking to put in a small schooling ring or training ring. And for that, I'm requesting a waiver from the township's stormwater management bill. So as background, the reason we're looking for this ring is we've had concerns expressed by exhibitors, trainers, and barns that it's not safe to mix the hunters with the jumpers. Not safe to mix young riders, children riders with adult riders. And our training ring gets kind of jammed up over the Labor Day weekend. And there are other shows like the Kimberton Show that have also asked us to improve the training rink. So what we'd like to do is build a second smaller training ring so that we can isolate the different categories of riders. This will be a 160-foot by 90-foot ring. It's a sand ring. It will have a railing around it. And if you look at the map on the back, holding it this way, It is 65 feet from the property line. And I believe your zoning requirement is 50 feet when it's mixed commercial versus residential. The ring is adjacent to where we had the backstage area for Country Spirit. So it's between the sort of gravel fork that was there for the stage and next to the drainage ditch that separated from the rest of the staging area. It will be sand, so it will be pervious. That is, we're not creating any new impervious surface. The reason we're asking for the waiver is because it is 14,400 square feet. It exceeds the 10,000 square foot threshold, which would put us into the non-simple plan, which means we'd have to do a complete engineering plan. And that seems a bit excessive, considering we really won't have any stormwater issues. We're at the bottom of the hill. There will be a slight grade. If you're comparing the coefficient that a meadow would have to stormwater coefficients for sand, I think they're comparable. We may in fact absorb more water than if it were sod. We are adjacent to a drainage ditch and the retention pond that's been there forever.
Is that what this little blue? do?
Yeah, the little blue spots are the current.
Is there a change to the grading at all, or it's?
So you'll see that there's a 1.75% grade so that the water can move to the sides of the, currently it's a relatively level area. So for us to do a complete engineering plan seems a bit excessive. That would be between $5,000 and $10,000 in addition to the construction cost. The application fee is $3,500 and there's a $10,000 escrow. So all that actually exceeds our construction cost.
Ed, you're a professional who is going to do the physical work, has done many of these before, correct?
Yes, it's Nathan Panetta. Nathan resurfaced our main ring last year. And we're going to use the same type of sand and fiber. And so he, besides being a judge and running shows, his business is to construct rings.
And then your main ring, was it Dr.?
The Rosado ring?
Rosado, thank you. Yeah, there's no drainage problem with that, no pooling.
No. There had always been subsurface piping to drain it away. Our water problem comes from Route 100. And what we had was water rushing down the hill across the ring, puddling in the corners, and also washing sand out. Now that we have fiber mixed with sand in the ring, we don't have the sand flowing through. We still have water coming off 100.
And is it a PennDOT issue or?
It's coming from the roads, it's coming from neighboring properties, and yeah, and we have this open meadow, I guess is what you call it, our parking area.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of sheeting across that surface.
Any thought about trying to terrace that a little and really slow it down?
We have discussed the possibility of improving the stormwater across the grounds because it is eroding the drives and had been causing issues in the ring. That's going to be an expensive proposition. So we're actually looking for funding somewhere.
And if Country Spirit were to come back, would this impede their operation?
I think it would make it a little, the area for the stage will still be there. The area where the tractor trailers pull in will still be there. They needed a little more room around there for the construction. What we can do is put down these plastic flooring that they can run equipment across without damaging the sand. I think we will not be where they located the big generators. They bring in a tractor trailer generators that they parked a little bit, I don't know, a little bit to the east of that.
Now you got me worried about the plastic.
Plastic.
Yeah. We're trying to eliminate plastics in our environment, so maybe there's a non-plastic solution to protect the sand.
It's,
Have a what if anyway.
it's fiber. I don't think it's plastic, is it? It's cotton and,
Definitely not a single use,
No,
that's for sure.
Well, you were saying plastic to cover it. You said plastic.
oh, no, it is a hard,
Like a
plastic
staging.
sheet that is, 10 by 10, something like that.
Under your desk chair.
No, it's thicker and it's made for construction and you rent it, right? And it goes back to the rental company and, you know, it has multiple uses. It's not,
Thank you, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's temporary
it's temporary.
and you don't have to store it.
No, that's why you rent it, so you don't have to store it.
So Ed, I have my manager reminding me that there's a process to this. Are you looking for relief from the process? As well, like, what is your time frame that you need this? What
So-
are you trying to do?
That's like.
I'm really kind of looking for direction. What we'd like to do is have the stormwater management part.
Before we
Waived.
move to a waiver, there's certain documents that Kathy needs. Go ahead, Kathy.
I understand that. So I'm saying I'm looking for direction. You know, I know definitely that we would like the waiver from stormwater management part.
But when do you need this by? Was there some urgency to this? It seemed like something was coming up that you needed.
Well, we're targeting having it in place by Labor Day. The construction, I can't imagine is going to take more than a week. Of course, Nathan's not fastest.
Right,
Um,
but our process can take forever sometimes. So Kathy, do you want to talk about that process?
yeah, I mean, it's not land development necessarily. It's not subdivision. It's not, I mean, there would be a zoning permit to,
Yeah, so what you would need to do first would be a stormwater grading permit. That's what you would have to fill out, provide the information that's asked. And
so
then
is that separate from the stormwater management ordinance?
that's part of that. You have to do that to get a review. So then our engineer will review it and,
I-
make their comments. And then you go to the planning commission, they review it. And, if you're looking for waivers, that's when you would bring that up. And then you go to, the board to see if it would be approved.
So, I'm asking for waiver from the permit you've asked me to file. And in part, it's because it's $3,500 fee and a $10,000 escrow that accompanies that permit application.
But unfortunately, that's our process.
Unless you waive it, in which case I don't have to do that.
We need to know what, we need plans so we know exactly what you, I mean, you just said what you're doing, but our engineer needs to see what you're planning to do, so he can recommend the waiver or not.
Can this be sufficient or no?
I think it's gotta be, I think that fill out the permit. Because there's specific questions on there that the engineers need to see.
Jackie, would it be fair to agree that we would try to move things along as expeditiously as
We can move
possible?
it- Yes, absolutely, but the first step is the paperwork, so once we get that, we can move along.
How about waiving the fees?
I don't have the ability to do that.
Maybe we should see what the engineer
Yeah.
recommends.
Well, I have had a discussion with LTL and that the suggested path is to request a waiver. Now, it seems a bit like the Hauptmann von Köpenick or Catch-22 to apply for the thing you don't want to apply for, or you want to request a waiver for. I was just going to say to,
Yeah, I don't-
does the solicitor have any advice?
I don't believe the waiver can be granted in this moment. I'm sure we can take under consideration, but for a public comment, it wouldn't be something that would be voted on in this meeting.
I'm not
But
expecting
We can look
action.
into whether it's possible. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but we can look into it. And if it's possible, we could reach out and go through the proper channels to get it done.
I do have a letter from Sarah Jane just officially requesting the waiver, other than my presentation. Would you like
Would you like to read it to us?
Okay, waiver request letter, dear board members. The Ludwig's Corner Horse Show Association intends to construct a 90 by 60 sand-based training ring on its grounds located at 5 Nantnell Road. For this project, the association respectfully requests a waiver from the West Vincent Township Stormwater Management Ordinance, Chapter 302 of the Township Code. Discussion. The ring would not introduce any new impervious cover. The factors used in stormwater calculations comparing the current state meadow versus finished state sand have negligible differences. The planned ring is located adjacent to an existing drainage swale and retention pond. However, because the area of disturbance is greater than 10,000 square feet, the ordinance requires a completely engineered plan, which seems excessive for a project with so little impact on stormwater.
So you've got some of that data that you don't have it with you though, the negligible infiltration differences and stuff like that.
To quantify that, you'd have to hire an engineer. So generally what happens in this is they look at the pre-development condition, it's grass, so they'll take the coefficients for a meadow, and then they look at post-construction,
So
what it is typically asphalt or
it's just, it sounded like her letter was saying that you had done some of those calculations and you're really basing it on this general condition versus this general condition.
the calculations have not been performed.
Right, thank you.
So again, we're not looking for a decision tonight. We'd like you to consider it.
Thanks for coming in.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you. Well, we appreciate that and we will definitely, we can reach out to you, right, on next steps and what we need to do. We could reach out to you, or is it better to reach out to Sarah Jane?
Either of us.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you for presenting that. Are there any other comments?
Very big man.
Real quick one, not West Vincent. I don't think there's anything actually in West Vincent, but Chester County Historic Commission has tours through the summer. I don't know if anybody's seen that. I think it's Chester County CCHC, Chester County Historic Commission.com. They're doing tours every Thursday from 5:30 to 7. The first week was the center of Westchester. Last week was Coventryville. They were doing tours of Coventryville. And it's going to go on through August, with the exception, I think, of 4th of July. They're not going to do one then, but not in West Vincent, but right down in Upper Euclid. They're going to be doing a tour of our old farm, and they've restored the downstairs of the farm so you can see the house and the barn. It's free to go to 5:30 to 7. The property is almost 60 acres of open space. Cost the township nothing to get it. One person here actually called it, it looked like an industrial site or open space gone wrong. Remember that, Sarah? Anyway, if you get the chance, go check it out. It's probably some of the most exquisite open space you've ever seen. Check it out right down the farm. It's now called Upland Farms. You guys have probably walked it before. It's awesome. It's open house. The 27th, 5:37. You'll really appreciate it. You're going to regret it if you miss the tour.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you very much.
I'm really glad Barry brought up, this is Chester County Planning Commission and the Chester County Historic Preservation Network have been doing this for quite a long time, Thursdays throughout the summer. And so it's their great programs. And George, we put on several here, the Bertrandville tour and the Underground tour and the Ludwig's Corner tour. And so not here this year, but I'll bet Isabel's got an idea for next year. So thank you for pointing that out. And did we get the booklets? We usually get an announcement from the county with the little booklets with the maps and stuff.
Don't know.
Comes to the office. Okay.
So what we can follow up with on that?
Next time I see somebody, I'll follow up. But so, but also this group, the CCHPN is part of what's helped us support research and collaboration with other municipalities in protecting our historic treasures. So thank you, Steve, for your patience.
No problem.
Like you're in a historic district too.
I am, and I love it. And we do have another problem there too. That's one of the reasons I'm coming up. Steve Sladik, 1420 Hollow Road. Sorry to come up and bug the board again, but at first I want to recognize Officer Fritz. I reluctantly had to call the police on Saturday, June 1st. It's my last resort. It's the first time I've called the police, but it's for the parking on Hollow Road. Again, the entire westbound lane of Hollow Road between Schoolhouse and Flowing Springs was blocked. So it's a one-lane road now. Very dangerous. I wrote the board back in, so Officer Fritz came out, didn't even come see me. He saw everything, and he went into the Butterscotch Bakery and got everybody to clear their cars out of there. It was about a dozen cars. Back in October, I wrote the board and the township manager about this issue because it's becoming a regular issue now. And it was forwarded to Tracy Franey, the zoning officer. Her very immediate response was, "Oh, I'll recommend the board put up no parking signs," which never happened. The chief let me put up some temporary no parking signs. But he made me take them down after a month. And I don't think he's gonna let me put them back up. But temporary is not the answer. We need a permanent solution.
And that's a
So
state road right there.
that
too.
That
That's
seems
part
to
of
be
the
the
trail.
issue. Yes, it's a state road. So the chief said that the board would have to work with the state, but it can be done to get no parking signs put up. What's happening is traffic is then routed eastbound in the westbound lane. And when you're coming down Hollow Road, there's a blind corner. So I've witnessed several very close near miss head-on collisions. This issue, I've been there 21 years in August. This has been an issue with the township parking on Hollow Road since I've been here. There's a little placard in the post office that I'm sure many of you seen, or maybe you haven't seen it. It says, "Please don't park and block the street and use the parking lot at the Butterscotch Bakery." It's not working. People don't care. I hate to call 911 and take our police away from real emergencies, but that's what the chief told me to do. So who can I work with? I'll do whatever it takes to work with the board, the township manager, Tracy Franey, to work with the state to get no parking signs put up on both sides of the road there. There is no parking there. It's against the ordinances.
And you're specifically interested between Schoolhouse and Flowing Springs.
Yes, that's where it's an issue because it blocks the road. I don't know if people have noticed it, but I've sat at that stop sign and waited because people are parked on both sides and are in the post office.
I go there when it's busy, so I haven't
Yeah.
seen you there.
Don't go on there on Saturdays.
But, so I've heard complaints on the downhill side, the stream side of Flowing Springs, getting extra cars and cars between Hollow and Schoolhouse along Flowing Springs. So is this just one spot you're worried about, or is it, we need to put in a parking garage?
Well, we need a parking garage because the businesses have expanded over 10 times what they originally
Well, then
done.
Let's talk about. the
And
parking.
that,
Let's talk
but
about-
that's why we have a parking issue. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
let's talk-
We need a garage. But
We need more people to drive.
I haven't seen people parking on Flowing Springs except by the restaurant.
And it may just be that,
And-
I get the exaggerations.
So it
Yes.
sounds like we need to try to convince PennDOT to do a study on that, right?
Yeah, we would have to reach out to PennDOT and they would ultimately come out and do what they call a traffic study to determine whether or not it's necessary to put up those signs. We can't do it because it's a state road, but we can certainly, ask them to look into it. I can't give you a timeline for them. They're very backed up.
Can I help you as a citizen of both Pennsylvania and Bertrandville? I mean, because
Try.
Because I called everybody. Like I said, I talked to the chief, I talked to Tracy. Tracy's reached out to the owners of the businesses and explained to them that they're responsible for their customers, asked them to put up no parking. They haven't done it. After the police, after Officer Fritz cleared everybody out, they put one cone in my yard. That's not gonna do it.
Okay. I will
Um,
reach out to PennDOT to see if I can get them to come out and start the ball rolling.
that would be
I mean, it's
wonderful.
definitely on our radar, this issue.
Yeah, it's just that it hasn't, it seemed to go nowhere right now.
I mean, I think
Um,
it is gonna move slow and definitely we're
Yes.
dealing with PennDOT. But, we are looking at all these issues.
In the meantime, maybe I'll talk to the chief and see if he'll let me put the signs out again now that the weather's nice.
Especially if they're about to do any events, something like that.
Well, they're not supposed to have any events till they get a permit. That's a whole nother issue. It's gonna be conditional use.
That's separate.
Yes,
It's, the chief puts up temporary parking signs during trout season along French Creek Road.
yes.
So I wonder if whatever authority he has for that could apply for weekends in the summer in Bertrandville.
We can talk to.
Well, he's got a message, like I said, in the post office. He's got a message. On his website, he has a message. Don't park on private property and don't block the right of way on streets when you're parking. Stuff with people.
Most of those customers don't go in the post office.
No, they don't. They don't.
So-
But the post office customers park in the street when there's parking in the lot available. It's disgusting.
That
So-
Training all of us.
So, okay, so Jackie committed to contacting PennDOT, and
Yes.
like I said, Jackie, you need any help, if you need somebody to call and make a formal complaint, I'll do it.
But
I'm
I'll let you know.
desperate.
We move
Thank you
on.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Kirk, were you in waiting?
Yes, real
Okay.
quick. Kirk Reinbold, 668 Bertrand Road. There was a listing on the website a while back about today would be the date for a vote on the advertising for the single ban plastic ordinance. And that wasn't discussed tonight, so was that taken
No,
off the
What you're
agenda?
talking about is the hearing, which we had hoped to have tonight. However, it didn't get, a couple reasons. It didn't get advertised with enough time and Dave wasn't here and he wanted to be here. So he had a vacation and he would rather us do it next month.
So it has been advertised.
It will be advertised for next month. I don't know that it went out yet.
No, advertise for next.
Okay, so we
The
couldn't
next
have
board
done it
meeting-
today. 'cause
So we didn't vote for an
No,
advertisement.
no, Yeah, it hadn't been in time anyway, but we also, Dave requested that he be at that.
And the
so.
last meeting, we authorized advertising. Is that true?
We already have authorized to advertise.
We did,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
we
I
didn't
just-
advertise because
did.
Dave asked us not to.
Right, right. I get that part. I just wanted to make sure anything we had to do about the
No, but there shouldn't
advertising
be-
was done.
We did
There shouldn't be any
everything.
reason it's
So I
not.
Okay.
believe, Kirk, your answer is
Next.
at our July meeting.
Fine. Second thing is, as a parent of a young equestrian, I'm absolutely for what Lois Corner Horseshoe wants to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Is there any other comments?
Move to adjourn?
Did you want to talk about the plastics? Okay,
No, that was his time.
okay, no, I thought you had something you wanted to mention about the education on that.
That's his time.
Okay. All right, well, it looks like we have one more thing to say, which is please come out on Friday for the movie night. Parks and Rec is hosting a movie night and they're just starting to advertise it for this Friday.
Guardians of the Universe 3.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Garden.
Okay,
right,
thank
exactly.
you. I'm sorry. I
Okay,
just-
let's try it again. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Gigi, okay, good.
And I believe it's held, it's gonna be a hot one, but it's held right as nightfall comes, and then if it were to rain, they would actually hold it inside. So there's not gonna be a rain date this year. We're not playing with that anymore. We will just come
We're just gonna
inside.
Come inside.
Okay, so hope to see you there. You have one more comment?
Yes,
Sure.
my name is Chris. I live on Buttonwood Drive. And last fall, we had a discussion about the Buttonwood Bridge. And also, I think horse show season's coming. I see the arrival of the porta potty. And the conditional use was turned in to the board. And I'm just curious what you have going on.
But we need to get funding for the bridge, and the grants that are out there do not meet the requirements. We don't meet the requirements for the grant funding. The span of our bridge is not long enough right now to qualify for any of the grant funding. We understand that they might be changing that in the fall and reducing the amount of the span. If that happens, then we'll be able to apply for grant money to fix the bridge. Right now, we're looking at in excess of $1 million to fix the bridge. And we're working to get funding for it. It's not going to be a simple task. So unless they change the span requirement, we'll have to revisit and think about how we're going to pay for it.
And how about the additional traffic that everybody on the road has complained about? When there is a horse show and you got 100 vehicles and horse trailers and everything coming across a bridge that was built as a single farm use, single owner.
I
bridge.
understand that we can't prevent public people from driving on that. It's a public bridge, so we can't tell them they can't use the bridge. We just.
Yes, but there's conditional use on the farm property as to what,
There was a conditional use, and Tracy Frayne, our zoning officer, looked into it. And they were granted certain uses, and then it was revoked, and then it was re-granted. So as I understand it, what they're doing out there is legal right now. If we get a special events ordinance that can prevent some of that, that's one way to go.
but I have not seen that. I have not seen that in writing. The things we turned into you, they did adjust some of the conditional use. But horse shows was not one of them.
I'll have to get Tracy to send you what she found. I do believe that it was.
I thought there was a limit to the number of people.
It was more,
That they
it had
could
to
have
do
a
with
horse show.
lessons and
Well-
things like that.
Yeah, but it's a gray area because she can, you can have up to 30 horses for lessons. And they were granted certain uses, and I do believe that they were allowed to have some of these horse shows.
It was never stated.
Okay, as again, I'll have to have Tracy send you what she found in the docket, because in the conditional uses, when they give their verdicts of what the conditional uses are allowed. At one point, they were granted, they were allowed to have horse shows, then at some point that was reversed, and then it came back again at some point. So I'll have to get Tracy to send you the specifics.
Okay, because nobody can really say how safe that bridge actually is or how long that bridge will last.
Well, Mike Hogan says it's pretty stable. And again, because it's a public bridge, we can't prevent anybody from traveling on it.
Do we put weight limits on bridges?
It depends on the bridge. I don't know that there's a weight limit on that bridge. We'll have to check with Mike.
Yes,
We
there is a weight
adjusted-
limit on the bridge.
Yeah, years ago, we adjusted it
Okay,
down,
so if there's a
downward.
weight limit, we can prevent trucks over that weight limit from going on the bridge.
Probably not a horse and trailer though.
Yeah, but it would have to be, in excess of the weight limit, and then, it's a whole, how do you get the police to enforce that without knowing what the weight of the truck is? We don't have a weighing station.
But was there still any consideration about a different method of,
We've looked at every grant that's out there.
different method of getting that
Well, somebody
access?
talked to one of the homeowners who got them all up in arms, so I think that should be said.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Thank you. It means we gotta figure out a way to
Yeah.
fix the bridge.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, thank you very much.
Mike,
Sure.
Mike, nice to see you.
Thank you, Ed. I couldn't just resolve that for you today, but.
They are. So I haven't really changed.
I understand everything you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. But happy to get some aspect of my development and saying that you have to give us a plan first. We understand. We need plans, say, this is the way we're asking for it. Also understand